Hi, I'm Jason Sanders, and in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a React app and connect it to DALL-E via OpenAI's API. This app will allow you to describe an image that you'd like OpenAI to create, and then you can view it. Now to start, I'm going to create a brand new React app in Visual Studio Code. So I'm actually going to remove my head here so it doesn't get in the way. And I'm going to go over to Visual Studio Code. And basically what you can see here is that I've opened up a folder called React Apps for OpenAI. And I have my terminal open. And I'm going to create a React app using something called Vita. And to do this, what you type into the terminal is npm create Vita at latest. Hit enter. And it asks you for the project name. I'm going to call this, what should I call it? Image generator. I'll call it AI image generator. AI image generator. Hit enter again, and it asks you to select a framework. I'm going to select React, and it gives you the option of two languages, TypeScript or JavaScript, and I will select JavaScript. And it's done. So the first thing to do is down here, it tells you 3 different prompts that it wants you to run. So the first one is to navigate into the new folder that has been created, navigate in the terminal to that new folder. So I'm going to type in cd AI image generator and hit enter. And then I'm going to click on npm, or I'm going to type in npm install, hit enter. And it's installing that package. And I think I'll pause the video so you don't have to wait through this. Okay, it finished. And the third item to enter in is npm run dev. And basically what that does is it fires up this app in a local environment. So whenever you install a new React app using Vita, you'll always get, let me open this up, you'll always get these files by default. And the npm run dev basically fires up your app, or this standard app created by Vita, on your local server on your computer. So if I hit Control and then click on localhost, it takes me to this standard app. So this is what Vita created based on what we just did. So this is obviously not what we want. So we need to make some adjustments. And what I do is whenever I create a new React app using Vita, I do something that we call cleanup. And I basically delete things that I don't need. So I'm going to go to the public folder. I don't need this. And source file. I don't need this. I'm going to delete that. I don't need app CSS, so I'm going to delete that. And in the main JSX file, I think I'll leave this the same. Index CSS, I don't need any of this, so I'm going to delete all of it. And app component, the app component, app.jsx. I'm actually going to replace this with completely new code. But before I do that, I just want to make sure I didn't break anything when I made all these deletions. So I'm going to delete all of this and just simply type in h1 JSON. If I didn't break anything, then I should see, it's not liking that. Count. Let's delete this. Okay. And that's what it's not liking. I need to delete these two items too. Okay. That should work. And let me go to the app, and if everything's working correctly, it should say hi JSON. Okay, perfect. So there's actually one more bit of cleanup that I want to do. I want to go to the index HTML file, and I don't need the Vita icon, so I'm going to delete that here. And I'm going to change the title of my app to AI image generator. Yeah, AI image generator. So that should do it. Basically, I've deleted all of the standard things that are created when you generate any new Vita React app. And I've created a blank slate. And the first thing that I'm going to do is I think I'll go to my GitHub. So in the interest of not making this an incredibly long video, I've already created the code that I'm going to need. And I'm going to therefore go to my code that I already created, and I'm going to just copy and paste. So this is all the CSS that the app is going to need. I'm just going to copy and paste it here, copy, and then paste it in the CSS file here in my image generator app. So pasted that, and then the app JSX, I'm going to delete all of this because it's all going to be different. I'm going to go back to my GitHub and click on app JSX and select all of this. And then copy it and paste it here in my app component. And if I did everything correctly, then when I go back to the local server, you should then see what the app will look like, what the app looks like. So let me go back here. Perfect. So basically what I'm building is, an AI image generator. And in this input box, you can describe the image that you wish OpenAI to create. After you've done that, you can click on Generate Image, and that sends the text of the image that you want OpenAI to create to OpenAI. And then what you get back here and rendered below this button is the actual image. So it won't work just yet. I have a few things to do before getting to that stage. Mainly, I want to walk you through the code that I used to do this. And I'm not going to walk through the CSS because this isn't a tutorial on CSS or HTML. So I'm not going to go through that. What I am going to go through is all of the code in the app component, because this is the engine. This is where we're sending the information to OpenAI and getting an image in response. So this is a React app, and it's a component called app. And basically these first two variables here are state variables, and they're used to manage input and response. So not surprisingly, prompt input will contain the text of the description of the image that the user wishes to create, and response will contain the text or the URL of the image that is returned by OpenAI. And these are so those are the two state variables to do that, and they're set basically to be empty to start with. And next here is the URL of an Azure function. So in order for this to work, I've already created a serverless function, a Microsoft Azure function that pings the DALL-E, that pings the OpenAI API, and it sends, what it does is it sends some information, for example, the prompt, the number of photos, the size of the photo, the prompt, the number of images, the size of the image, to this Azure function, which then sends it to OpenAI's API and then gets the response back. The Azure function gets the response back and then passes it back to your app. So that's how that works. So basically, if you don't know how to create an Azure function, I created a two-part series of videos that walks you through that process. And you won't be able to use this URL because once this video goes live, I'm going to disable it. So let's see. If you go down here to the JSX portion of the component, or where it renders the HTML, basically, let's take a look at the app again. And as you can see, the way this flow works is the user enters in the description of the image that they wish DALL-E to create. And you can see here in the JSX portion that, let's see, where is it? It's here in the form. There's the input field. So this is the input field, and you can see the placeholder text describe here the image you wish to create. And if you take a look at this onChange element here, basically what that does is anytime a user types a letter, as they're constructing the sentence or sentences of the images that they wish to create, anytime they type a letter, it's captured in this state variable called prompt input. So the user is going to type in maybe a sentence or two, and then that's going to be captured. The full sentence or two is going to be captured here in prompt input. So after the user enters in the description of the image that they want to create, and it's captured in that prompt input state variable, they're going to click generate image. And when they click generate image, let's see, if we take a look at this button, they'll click generate image. That's going to fire this on submit, handle submit function. So it's basically when they click the button, the handle submit function is fired. And handle submit is this function here. And when this gets fired up, it sends a request, a post request to the Microsoft Azure function here, this URL, the function at this URL. And what it sends is three pieces of information, or for our purposes, these three pieces of information, well, in addition to the method and the headers. But it sends the prompt input. So if you remember, this prompt input contains the descriptive text of the image the user wants. n equals 1, so that's one image to return back, and then the size of the image. So that's the first thing that happens. This information is sent to the Azure function, which then sends it over to OpenAI's API, and OpenAI sends back the response. And this bit of code here checks to make sure the response is okay. If the response is not okay, then this error is thrown. If the response is okay, then this response is parsed as a text in this message variable. And then this text response, in this case, it's going to be the URL of the photo, of the image, is going to be placed. It's going to be this response variable here, this response state variable is going to be updated with the response received from the API, OpenAI's API. And this final bit of code here basically sets the prompt input variable back to empty so that the user can then send a second request. Okay, and if none of this works properly, there's an error handler that if any error happens during the request, it's handled here. So I think that covers everything in the code here. Oh, the one last thing is underneath the button, this section here displays the response received from the Azure function. And in this case, it's going to be an image. And the source of the image is going to be the response that comes back from the API. So before testing this, there's one more thing that that I need to go over, and that is an error that you may encounter when you run this for the first time. So let me go back to Function App in Microsoft Azure, and OpenAI image 5345 is where I am housing the this Azure function that this app is pinging. Let me go back here, and I'm going to click on that. And so in this OpenAI image function app, you may get a CORS error, something called a CORS error when you try to run this. So the way to fix that is if you scroll down here to CORS, and it's a little hard to see, but as you see here, I have star as an allowed origin. So basically in this section, you can enter in the URL of any website that you want to allow to interact with this function app. And probably the easiest thing to do is what I did was I just entered a star, which allows everything. If you don't want to do that, then you have to manually enter in any website that you want to allow to interact with this. So let me go back to the Visual Studio Code, and I think what I'm going to do is test it out. So let me kill this terminal. Let me regenerate it. And I think I'm going to need to go back to the image generators. Yeah, so I have to type in CD AI image generator, enter, and then npm run dev. go back to that. Let me remove my head here. Okay, so if this works correctly, then an image should show up underneath this button. So let's see, what image do I want to create? The sun setting over the ocean. Okay. And let's cross our fingers and hope this works. Click generate image. And what should happen is we get an image that comes back that populates that box. Perfect. Okay. The sun setting over a wheat field with a nearby barn. Perfect. So this works. Basically, we've created this app and connected it to a Microsoft Azure serverless function, which then pings DALL-E from OpenAI's API. And we send over a description of an image that we want to create. And that image is then sent back to us and rendered here on this page below the button. Okay, the next thing to do is to actually publish this app to an actual website. So to do that, I'm going to use a tool called Netlify. And Netlify you can sign up for a free account and you can upload code files and it will create a website for you based on the code files that you upload. Now, I've found that sometimes with React apps created through Vita, if I manually upload files, so actually let me show you what I mean by that. If I go to Netlify, so this, if you create a Netlify account, this is the landing page that you'll come to. And if you go to add new site, you have a couple selections. And if you click on deploy manually, you can simply drag and drop your site output folder there. And I've found that when I do that, it sometimes doesn't work for a React app created through Vita. And what I do instead is I actually import an existing project from GitHub. So I upload the files of the app to GitHub and then through GitHub publish the website on Netlify. So let me show you what that looks like. This is the, to save some time, I already uploaded all of the files that I just showed you, or that I just created in this React app on Visual Studio Code, and uploaded all of them to a GitHub repository called React DALL-E app. And they're all here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Netlify and I'm going to click on add new site, import an existing project, and then click on deploy with GitHub. Okay, and I don't think it's visible here in this list yet. So what I'm going to do is configure the Netlify app. So if you do this and you don't see the project in this list, what you'll want to do is click on configure the Netlify app on GitHub, and then scroll down, and you'll see only select repositories is selected, and then click on select repositories, and then look for the one that you just created, the DALL-E app, and I see it here. So I'm going to click on DALL-E app. and save. And it's going to take me back to Netlify, and I should now see the DALL-E app in this list here. And there we go. So I'm going to click on that. And to deploy it is very straightforward. All I have to do, I'm not going to change any of this. I'm just going to leave it the same and click on Deploy React DALL-E app. Now this might take a minute or two, so I'm going to pause the video here. Okay, so it has deployed, and I'm going to click on the link to it. And this is an actual instance of our app deployed to the web. And one of the things that I might do is clean up this, maybe make this box a little more prominent before it gets populated with a actual image. But for now, I just want to test it out and show that it works, so that you can create an app, deploy it to the web, send a description of a photo that you want to have OpenAI generate, receive it back, and then render it in your app. So let's give this a try. Let's do the same one we did before, the sun setting over the ocean with a sailboat nearby. Let's see what we get with that. So I'm going to click Generate Image, and hopefully everything works and we get something back. Perfect. Okay, let's try another one. Let's what do we want to see? Let's try the other one. How about a different one? A fox running through a wheat field. Great image. Let's see what OpenAI gives us back. Oh, wow. Okay. So you can see how powerful this is. You can basically create any image that you want with the help of AI. And the first two that I've done here are kind of like mimicking photos, but let's try something a little different. How about a psychedelic pattern using many different colors? Let's see what that returns us. Wow, perfect. So I hope this video was helpful and informative, and I will see you next time.